This episode is brought to you by PetSmart. Imagine life without your pet. Unthinkable, right? That's why taking care of their well-being is job number one. And PetSmart has everything you need to do anything for your pet. PetSmart's expertise in nutrition, training, veterinary care, and more can help you take care of your pet's well-being the same way your pet takes care of yours. Care the way pets do. Shop now at PetSmart.com.
This is Cats at Night on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
We have now with us Dr. William Parker. He is the CEO of Parker Maritime. And Dr. Parker, big, huge news today. Obviously, markets was huge news. The other big news, Putin coming out and basically saying he's continuing. He also said he's pulling out of the nuclear treaty, the START treaty. What is your reaction to this? Wow.
This is a big deal. First of all, great to be on your show, but this is a really big deal from Putin. When you look at it, first of all, this war could have been prevented in the first place, but we can talk about that later if you want to.
Yeah,
but
by the way, for sure, but go ahead. Yeah.
It provides verifiable limits on all Russian deployed intercontinental nuclear weapons. That's the bottom line. And it also prevents from anybody doing a test without the other side knowing about it. So there's all kind of inspections, there's all kind of number limits, but at the end of the day, the most important thing is it prevents those missiles from being tested so that the other side isn't confused and inadvertently responds to what they think is an attack on their country. That was put aside with START. Now with him walking away from START, this is a big deal.
How much of it do you think is real, or how much do you think of it as him just pumping his chest, obviously, given all the dynamics and Biden just going over to Ukraine?
I think it's a combination of the two. I think that Biden going over to the Ukraine probably didn't make him real happy. But I also think that he's saying, look, I'm going to walk away from this thing because it's the one piece of equipment that I have that still makes you nervous, because his army obviously is incapable, but his nuclear force could do significant damage to the world.
Wow. I was seeing earlier that between U.S. and Russia, they have 90% of the world's nukes. And Zelensky came out and basically was talking about World War III. I mean, this is scary stuff now.
Well, it's interesting because Zelensky, remember, Ukraine was the third largest holder of nuclear weapons before they signed an agreement with Russia and the United States saying they would give up their nuclear weapons if we promised to make sure that they were safe. So we signed that agreement under the Clinton administration, and here we are today. But also remember that before START began, this first START treaty in 1980, we had 53,500 nukes between the United States and the former Soviet Union. And so that number is dropped precipitously, and we're down to around 11,300 right now. But
does
with
it have
away, those numbers go?
Mr. Parker, even though it's down to 11,000, does that have the same whack
potency?
Potency. Yeah,
well, you're right, Ms. Catsimatidis, in that the size of the warheads are increasing. The MIRV capability, the multiple reentry vehicle capability has increased. The complexity, the speed at which they're delivered, now hypersonic weapons, et cetera, increases. But still, that number of nuclear weapons, very difficult to maintain control of knowing where they all are. Much harder to ensure that you know where every nuclear weapon is and one of them doesn't end up in a city near you. As opposed to when that number gets smaller, you have a better chance of controlling those, or at least knowing where they all are.
Doctor, this is Craig Eaton. So you say there's 11,300 now between the United States and Russia, correct?
Correct. But as of 2022, Russia had about 5,400.
Okay.
I'm sorry, U.S. had 5,400. Russia had 5,900.
That's what I wanted to know, what the breakdown was between us and Russia. Okay.
Yeah, so we've come down we've come down pretty nicely together, and remember that START has all kind of New START has all kind of limitations, very specific, and we were working our way down quite nicely, quite frankly. The rule was that in 7 years, by 25 actually, we were going to have 700 deployed ICBMs, SLBMs, and heavy bombers for each country. About 1,500 total nuclear warheads and about 800 deployed and non-deployed ICBMs and launchers. So those numbers were coming down, and both sides were meeting their numbers. And so that's why this is hugely disappointing where we're at now. Remember, since 1 February of last year, We had 328 on-site inspections and over 25,000 exchange in information.
Wow. Thank you very much. Wow.
Thank you, Mr. Parker. And Mr. Parker was with the Navy for, was it 37 years, Mr. Parker? I don't remember.
Well over 30. It was a long time.
Well over 30.
Well, you know your stuff.
Much, and you know your stuff. And God bless you for everything you've done. And you keep speaking out for our country. Thank you so much.
It's Cats at Night on the Red Apple Podcast Network.